Hey everybody, welcome back to another video with me, Andy. Hope you're all doing well in this crappy lockdown. But anyway, right, we're going to do another little scud / shrimp grilling pattern today. And the hook we're using is a trout line. This is a G602. It's a nice little curved shape hook for doing shrimps and scuds or whatever you want to call them. Depends what country you come from. I think the Americans like to call them scuds. Next material we're going to use is some Vineyard adhesive lead foil. I'll show you what they come in. They come in like big sheets like this, and I just basically cut them. I don't do a very good job of cutting them, but I cut them. Anyway, so what we're going to do, we're going to start this at the back. I'm just going to put my nail on to try and secure it in place while I do the first couple of wraps. Pull that little bit of UV off there, I don't know what it's got on there. Now just wind this up the shank to just short of the eye, and then nip off the excess. And now we're going to do basically start one wrap up, so you're getting like a taper, and wind this up, and you're going to stop about one wrap short. So there we go. So there's your taper. We're not actually going to do any more. This is it. It's a relatively a slimmer line profile one than I normally do. You can actually use any colour thread you want. I've actually not put my thread on there because I'm a muppet. We're actually going to be using red Textreme AO. Quickly just going to stick this on the bobbin for you. I thought I had it already set up, but clearly I didn't. There we go. Now just start the red thread at the eye. We're just going to, don't do tight turns here, they're relatively loose. And just basically put a base layer of thread over that wire. I'll grab a pair of scissors. Just like that. I'll actually grab my fine point scissors. I don't know why I haven't got those already. So that's looking fine. Now, next material we're going to tie in. This is some, I'll grab you the packet. This is trout lines. And this is fine stretch 4mm in light brown. It's like a nice little scud back kind of material. And what I'm going to do, I'm just going to cut like a very slight arrow section or in the point of that. Come down towards the back, and we're just going to tie this in at the very tip, give it a little stretch, and just pull that down to the very bottom. There we go. Next material we're going to tie in, I've got a little spool here. This is very, well, not very fine, but fine mono. You can use anything you want, just use a little bit of fluorocarbon. I'm sure you'll have some £3 or £4 fluorocarbon lying around. Just use some of that, it doesn't make a difference. And again, just going to tie this in on the side, and then just wind this down to where you stopped your back or shell back stretch, whatever you want to call it. Now I'm just going to put a very slight bit of base thread on here, just so my dubbing doesn't slip. Doesn't need a lot of base thread on there, to be honest with you. Now, my dubbing is a mix, so I've got Hairline Scud dub, Hen's Microflash number 94, Cinnamon UV Ice dub by Troutline. So, well, actually I've been, yeah, I've got that wrong. Right, so this is the one I was using, the Troutline UV Ice dub in fluorescent orange. Is that exactly the same as the number 94? Because I had to actually change it. I did originally use 94, but I switched it around because I ran out of 94. That's the Troutline UV Ice dub in the cinnamon. Nice colour. And this one here, like a pearly, rainbowy kind of colour, is the Scud dub. And obviously, all mixed together, you get this nice dubbing. So, yeah, it looks really nice. Now we're going to get our materials out the way because they're getting in my way. And then we're going to try and dub a relatively thin dubbing rope. I don't want like a crazy bulky shrimp. It's probably slightly too thick. So I'm just basically dubbing this onto my thread. And now once that's dubbed, once that's dubbed on, lads. Right, once that's dubbed on, Now I'm just shortening the length of my thread there, so I'm trying to keep you in the loop of exactly what I'm doing so you all know. And then start at the very back. I'm trying not to hit the camera while I'm doing this as well. Now just basically bring it up in touching turns up the body. I'm just basically making sure trying to make sure there's no gaps. So I've actually got almost perfect length. There we go, how lucky is that? Perfect length on that dubbing. So now your next step is grab your shellback material. Just pull it over the back. I like to pinch it at the head, so I pull it very slightly tighter, pinch it at the head, and I come back. Again, pull it just slightly tight, and then do a few more turns. I just want to check how that's sitting because I don't like the way that's sitting, so I'm just going to unwind that. I just didn't like the way it was sitting at the head. There was like a bulge there and I didn't like it. Let's have a look at that one. Yeah, that'll sit much better. So that's fine now. I'm just going to do a couple more turns to get this rib out my way. Just do a couple more turns just to make sure it's secure. Come in with a sharp pair of scissors, pull it and then trim it off. Now an important step on this, because you don't want it to slip, get it a half hitch or one whip finish and just put that over the head. Now grab your mono, you can do a turn just underneath, pull it up tight, and that sets you up for the body. If it will actually set myself up for the body. So I'm going to have to put my nail there. Sometimes it does slip, it's just one of the nature of the mono. But once you get it started, it's absolutely fine. Just going to put my nail there just to bite it in. There we go. Now, what you want to do is space these turns out, so relatively tight turns. On each turn, I do a slightly wider turn. A wider space between my turns, and that way you get that tapered effect on the body of your shrimp. Now, come over the top, just do a couple of turns, fold your mono back, and then run your thread back over the mono, because mono is quite slippery material, so you need to secure it in very slightly differently. But that's absolutely fine, that's nice and secure now. Now you can trim off your excess mono. Grab your whip finish tool. I'll straighten that back up for you. Grab your whip finish tool. Make sure that's nice and tight. That's fine. Trim off your excess. Now I'm just going to go with my eyes, just check around the flies, see how the scud back is sitting. That's not sitting too badly at all. It's actually a nice scud as it is. Now, next step, I turn it upside down. Actually, I'll turn it back around this way so you guys can see. Rather you guys can see and me, be slightly more difficult for me. So just turn that round, just use a dubbing brush. Brush some of those nice fibres out. Actually want to get these fibres out here if I can. There we go. So I've brushed those out, but what I like to do now is I just pull those fibres down and I just trim a little bit off at the front, trim it off just above the hook point, and then come in, trim a little back off. So I get almost like a taper in my legs coming out. Don't like this leg sticking out the back, so I'm going to get rid of that one. So that's looking good. You can actually use this scud exactly how it is now. You could use this and still catch fish. But what I like to do is I grab a black pen, and I also grab my brown pen. So I grab my brown pro marker and a black pro marker. Now at the head, I like to blacken the heads on these. I don't really hear my son there laughing in his room. So there's the black head gone on there. I'll just put a little bit on the side. And then, last but not least, I get some of this chestnut on the back. I just like the way the chestnut looks, the colour of it. I don't know why, I just like it. So there's your chestnut. So that's a good looking scud at this moment in time, or shrimp. But we are still not finished, my friends. What I like to do now is get some Gulf Thinman resin, because I like these to have like a glassy look to the back of them. I don't know why, for me, it just gives me more confidence in the fly. I'm not saying it's going to catch more fish, but if you're confident in your flies, then that's the most important thing. So I'm just adding some Gulf Thinman out of the back, just a very, well, not very thin, but a pretty thin layer. You don't need a lot. Let's have a look at that. How's that sitting? Yep, that should be absolutely fine. So as you can see, that's kind of come to life in my opinion now. I don't know whether you guys agree watching the video, but to me that's absolutely come to life now. Now I'll grab your UV torch. Hopefully it's not going to do what it did in the last video, it runs out of battery. So we're just going to now take our UV torch. As you can see, the legs come to life under this under UV light, which is great. I really like that. Just set this UV resin. So that's looking nice. I'm happy with that. And as always, for longevity, I always like to grab a little bit of varnish and brush the back with varnish. I don't care what brand of resin I use, by the way. I do this on every fly. I don't care. It's just for something for me I like to do. So there is your nice little scud pattern. Don't have a name for it. Brown scud. I don't know. Whatever scud you want to call it. I'll probably just call it brown scud in the title. But there it is. Thank you very much for watching the video. Hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you on the next video.